Mrs. Adeline Harper was 78 years old. She had soft white hair, glasses that always slid down her nose, and a voice that made you feel calm, even when she was giving you homework. For over 40 years, she had taught English at the same little school in her small town. People called her Miss Addie. She never had children of her own, but every student who walked through her classroom became part of her big, beautiful family. Even after she retired, Miss Addie still showed up at Oak Ridge Elementary. Every Thursday morning, she'd walk down the front steps with her cane, carrying a little canvas tote bag full of books. She wasn't on staff anymore. She wasn't getting paid, but she always came. And while most people thought she came just to read stories, there was something more going on behind those visits. Miss Addie didn't just read books to kids, she brought them to life. She'd sit in the corner of the classroom, open her worn copy of Charlotte's Web or The Secret Garden, and suddenly, no one was fidgeting or yawning, they were hanging on every word. But what most people didn't know was Miss Addie also stayed long after storytime ended. She'd help sort books in the old library. She'd fix torn covers with tape, stack the shelves, and clean the dusty corners. She'd even sneak new books into the donation box when no one was looking. Quietly, week after week, she was doing something special, and one day, someone finally noticed what Miss Addie had been doing all along. It was a rainy Thursday in late October. The halls were filled with the sound of wet shoes squeaking, kids laughing, and the smell of crayons and chicken nuggets from the lunchroom. Miss Addie was right on time, her umbrella tucked under her arm, her cane tapping gently against the tiles. But as she made her way to the classroom, Principal Gomez spotted something unusual. The tote bag Miss Addie was carrying was huge, heavier than normal. "Need help, Miss Addie?" he asked kindly. She smiled. "Just a few more books. There's always room for more stories." That's when he followed her and saw the library. Books, hundreds of them. Some brand new, some gently used. Each one had a tiny note inside, donated by Miss Adeline Harper. What's a book you'll never forget from school? Tell us in the comments. Like this video if you ever had a teacher who made a difference. Don't forget to subscribe for more true stories full of heart and hope. From that day on, the school began to look at Miss Addie in a whole new light. Oak Ridge Elementary was nothing fancy. Red bricks, white windows, a playground that squeaked. The library was one of the oldest rooms in the building. It had mismatched chairs, faded posters, and a leaky window that always let in a draft. But it had something special now, something no one had seen coming. Thanks to Miss Addie, the shelves were full again, whole series were complete, new genres were showing up. Kids were actually checking out books, reading corners were cozier, bean bags appeared, lights got warmer, and in the middle of it all, Miss Addie, every Thursday, dusting, smiling, reading. But this wasn't just about books, it was about love. And the way it changes a place from the inside out. Miss Addie had a secret. You see, after she retired, she felt a little lost. She missed the kids, the lessons, the laughter, but most of all, she missed purpose. So she started going through her house, her attic, her closets. Books were everywhere, some from her own childhood, others from decades of teaching. She couldn't throw them away. Instead, she packed them in boxes, cleaned them up, wrote notes in the covers, and quietly, she gave them back to the school. Because Miss Addie believed one thing more than anything: every child deserves a story that makes them feel seen. And the more she gave, the more something magical began to grow. The school started a Thursday Readers program, led by Miss Addie. Kids signed up to hear her read during lunch. Others wrote letters to her, asking for book recommendations. Teachers made space for her in their schedules. Parents sent in snacks for reading time. And the library? It was changing fast. The PTA got involved. Local shops donated furniture. Volunteers helped paint the walls. And Miss Addie? She kept showing up, rain or shine, smiling, reading, organizing. Every week, one more shelf filled up. One more kid found a story to love. Until one morning, everything changed. It was a cool Friday morning in late spring. The gym at Oak Ridge Elementary was packed. Kids sat cross-legged on the floor. Teachers lined the walls. Parents filled the bleachers, smiling and chatting. Miss Addie sat in the front row, dressed in her favorite navy cardigan, the one with the small stitched apple on the sleeve. She believed she was there to watch the fifth graders perform their end-of-year play. She didn't even notice Principal Gomez slipping away, backstage. When the lights dimmed, she leaned in, ready for a show. But instead of a child stepping onto the stage, a large screen flickered on, soft music played, and then, pictures began to appear. A photo of Miss Addie, reading to a group of first graders, their eyes wide and mouths open. Another of her gently taping the cover of an old book. Then a shot of her slipping a note into a donation, her delicate handwriting just visible. Smiles, hugs, laughter, pages being turned, stories coming to life. Miss Addie brought her hand to her chest. She turned to the teacher beside her. "What's going on?" she whispered. But the teacher just smiled. "Keep watching." Then the music stopped. The lights brightened. Principal Gomez walked onto the stage, holding a velvet box in his hand. "Miss Adeline Harper," he said, his voice a little shaky, "when you retired, we lost one of our brightest stars." He paused, letting the silence speak. "But you came back, week after week. You came not just to read, but to serve, to love, to give. Over the past few years, you've donated over 600 books. You've restored old ones. You've made our library feel like home again." The crowd was quiet now. Even the smallest children sat still. "You've given more than just books, Miss Addie. You've given us heart." He opened the box and held up a golden key, the metal glinting under the stage lights. "This key is yours. It opens a new wing of our school library, one we built because of you, and starting today, it will be known as the Adeline Harper Reading Room." Gasps filled the gym. A few teachers wiped their eyes. Students clapped wildly. Miss Addie sat frozen, her hand covering her mouth. Tears ran down her cheeks, and then the curtain pulled back behind Principal Gomez. There it was, a warm, colorful library space, with tall wooden shelves, cushioned reading chairs, bright windows with sunlight pouring in, and on every shelf, her books, each one marked with a soft gold sticker, from the collection of Adeline Harper. Above the door, in bold shining letters, "A place for stories, and the hearts they touch." The entire gym stood and applauded. Miss Addie stood slowly, her cane in one hand, the other wiping away tears. As she walked toward the stage, she passed row after row of smiling students, some holding up signs that read, "Thank you, Miss Addie, and we ours Salalan, our story lady." And when she took that key in her hands, her voice cracked as she whispered, "I thought I was done teaching, but you all taught me something I'll never forget." But what Miss Addie didn't know then was that her greatest lesson wasn't in a book, it was in what she left behind. Miss Addie never asked for anything. She never expected praise or awards. She came every week because she believed in something simple, that stories can change lives. And now her story had changed her school. The new reading room became the heart of Oak Ridge. Kids rushed there before school. Some sat quietly during recess, curled up in corners with books she'd donated. Others whispered about the sticker labels, excited to pick one of Miss Addie's favorites. The teachers noticed the change too. Students were more curious, more thoughtful, more kind, and it all started with one woman, one bag of books, and a heart that never stopped giving. Miss Addie showed everyone that you don't need to be loud to make a difference. You don't need money, or fame, or big speeches. Sometimes, the most powerful impact comes from quiet actions, from love that shows up every Thursday, from pages that turn into possibilities. She may have retired from the classroom, but she never stopped teaching. In fact, her greatest lesson was this, that the truest kind of giving asks for nothing in return, and yet it gives everything. Now, when children open a book at Oak Ridge, they don't just learn to read, they learn to dream, to hope, to believe in people like Miss Addie, because she didn't just fill shelves, she filled hearts. Because sometimes, the biggest keys don't open doors, they open hearts. Did a teacher ever change your life? Share your story below, we'd love to hear it. Like this video if Miss Addie reminded you of someone special. Subscribe for more powerful stories about kindness, purpose, and love that lasts a lifetime.